I'm Lari Don, I'm a children's author. I could give you a massive long list. I love doing school events, for example. I love working with young readers. I love working with young writers. I love hearing kids and teenagers' enthusiasm for stories. So that's a highlight. And honestly, I didn't know writers did that. That was a surprise to me. When I started writing, the fact that I would be invited into libraries and schools and book festivals and so on, and yurts and tents and caves, castles, to do events and encourage children to use their imagination. I didn't expect that. So that was a kind of surprising highlight. But honestly, the reason I'm a writer, and the best thing about being a writer, is writing stories. It's seeing what happens next. I don't plan my books. I know that English teachers quite often go pale at the back of a room when I admit that, but I don't plan my books. I start writing with a question. I wonder what would happen if, or an idea about a character in a terrible situation. I put my characters in terrible situations all the time. But I start with that idea, with that question, with that situation, with that character, with that desire to find out. And I write the book in order to find out. I write the book in order to answer the questions that I've asked, that my initial idea prompted me to ask. So I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know how the story's going to end. I hope that my readers will be excited by finding out what happens in the story, because I'm excited. I don't know. I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen. And I get to choose. And that's the amazing thing. I get to decide what happens next. But the most wonderful moment of a writer's life is when your characters choose for you. It's when you're writing and you don't know what's going to happen next, and you've created characters who come to life, and actually the story just happens. And you didn't even know what was going to happen, and the characters do something that surprises you. And it happens to me once or twice in a book, and that moment when the story comes to life and runs away from you is the best thing about being a writer. I don't go out and look for ideas. I think I'm often asked where my ideas come from, where my inspiration comes from, and I rather think that people sometimes want to know a secret. They want to know, I don't know what they're expecting, that there's like a shop with a secret back room with shelves where writers can sneak in and take ideas, or that there's a ritual that if you put on the right socks and sit in exactly the right way with the right incense or the right flowers or the right cat on your knee stroking it, that suddenly an idea will come to you. That's not how it works. They don't arrive on schedule. Ideas, they don't arrive because you want them to. The trick with ideas is that actually we're surrounded by them. We're surrounded by the prompts for ideas all the time. I don't think that writers have more ideas or better ideas than anybody else. I think what writers do is we're maybe more skilled at noticing the ideas, more used to noticing the ideas, and more determined to use them. So I will be playing with one of my children, for example, and something, a combination of a toy and a word and a thought will suddenly crash together, and I'll go, oh, there's an idea. That happened. The idea for the Fable Beast Chronicles came from me playing with one of my children, and we kind of invented a unicorn, and then a vet came over to look at the unicorn, and I was like, what if there was a vet who only treated magical animals? And then I dashed off and got a bit of paper, and I wrote down a list of all the magical animals I knew of, dragons and centaurs and so on, and a list of all the injuries they could suffer, and I came up with some really nasty injuries because writers have to be quite ruthless, and then a list of all the adventures they could be on in order to suffer those injuries. Now that list turned into 4 novels, and I wasn't sitting there going, I must have an idea for a novel. I was sitting there playing with one of my children, but I saw the idea go past, and I grabbed it, and I wrote it down, and I turned it into a book. And every single one of my books, the genesis of the idea has been different, and it's very, very rare that those ideas come to me when I'm sitting hoping for an idea for a book. They come when I'm chatting to folk, they come when I'm playing, they come when I'm reading, they come when I'm going for a walk, they come when I'm chopping peppers for tea, being a human being, wondering about being a mum or being a neighbour or being a friend. But the difference is I notice the ideas and I write them down and I do something with them. I'd advise anybody who wants to be a writer to carry a notebook or just have a file on your phone to go, I've had an idea, scribble it down, then you can do something with it later.
TV screen that's almost foldable like a piece of paper. I think that's very exciting.